Hello and welcome, respectable staff, representable parents, honorable judges, honorable guests, and most important of them all, our wonderful participants to our ER20 Speech Arts Competition. We would especially like to welcome and thank Ms. Prasad, our ER20 Superintendent, Mr. Chadwick, our trustee, Mr. Trevena, working with the Behavioral Regional Team, and Ms. Hoadley, who is working with our Behavioral Regional Team. Take a moment to be proud of these participants that have made it this far. Can we have a round of applause for them? Let me just say, no matter what happens, everyone is a winner and everyone is perfect. No one can disagree. You're right, everyone is special. Let's introduce our first participant, Navina.
She was only 16 when she was shot to the head. She was an educational activist in her rural home of Pakistan. She only had one goal: to be able to provide the women in her country an education. Even though the Taliban surrounded her, banning many girls from attending school, it didn't stop her. She was vulnerable, but she continued to fight for her and her sisters. On the morning of Tuesday, October 9, 2012, a gunman approached her, in whom he asked for her name. Right then, he fired 3 shots, which one of those bullets struck her to the left side of her forehead. But she survived. She was too powerful to let that bullet take her down. This young warrior is Malala Yousafzai. She was once vulnerable to the Taliban, but now she's powerful to all the women in her country. Hello, honorable judges, teachers, and fellow students. My name is Navina, and I stand on behalf of the women in third world countries facing gender inequality. If you all here were to be the life of a young girl in a third world country, you'd say what she must face every day is unfair and absurd. But to her, she'd say it's just life. Life where she has no opportunity to an education, healthcare, and forced to be married at such a young age. Though we all are human, we all bleed, and we all set our mind to achieve, the story is different in countries of India, Ghana, Sri Lanka, and the Philippines. Girls are denied their basic rights. With no education, healthcare, and premature marriages, it prevents many girls from succeeding in their lives. But if we end gender inequality today, the whole world will benefit for several reasons, since the most vulnerable are the most powerful. Education is a means of knowledge and power that 65 million girls are denied to have one. Here in Canada, no one wants to go to school. They avoid having to wake up early in the morning or completing tons of homework. But a girl in a third world country would dream to be able to be in our position, going to school every single day. Education plays a big role to demolish gender inequality, as when more girls are enrolled in attending school, skills are learned to help them invest in a job, to soon provide for herself, her family, and her community to break away from poverty. Did you know that if only 10% more girls attend school, the country's GDP, also known as gross domestic product, will increase by 3%. This means when more girls are educated, the country's value of goods and services will boost. From the words of Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. Out of the 800 women that die per year from pregnancy-related causes, 90% of those deaths are in third world countries. Most women must face domestic violence, sexual abuse, and premature pregnancies. The healthcare isn't provided for them to heal from the pain received, simply because they're a girl. When healthcare is denied, so is the opportunity to have an education, as now these young girls must deal with the health diseases that they have for the rest of their lives. Is it right for innocence? Is it right for innocence? Is it right for innocence just to be dead? Is it right for innocents to be dead just because they weren't given enough attention to be provided with health vaccines and proper health care? Let me give you a moment to think about that. As lives of innocents are taken away, so are the voices of ones forced into child marriage. According to PAN Canada, 1 in 3 girls are married by the time they turn 18. If lives were switched, that could have been you or you married at only the age of 13? Usually, young girls face child marriage because parents are in need of money or that families simply prefer sons over daughters. When you take away the rights from a woman, you don't only take away her freedom. You take away her dignity, her talents, and or her life away from herself. In our lives, we have many female role models, mother, sister, or friend. Now to imagine them in the situation that girls face in third world countries is simply heartbreaking. Time, energy, and money is wasted to discriminate against women when we should be empowering these young girls by providing an education, healthcare, and ending child marriage. I'm only a child, and I know if we continue this, we'll never grow as one. All of you here are educated, have healthcare, and are in no danger to face child marriage. So what are you doing to change the world? Girls are still out there risking their own lives for gender inequality. What are you going to do about that? Remember that the most vulnerable are the most powerful. Thank you.
Thank you, speaker number one. Now you've finished speaking as the first speaker. Please tell us, if you had the choice today, which number between 1 and 10 would you like to have spoken at and why?
I'd say 5, because you're not last, so you wouldn't be as nervous because you've seen all the other speakers, right? But you wouldn't want to be first, because when you're first, they set the example. And you want to know about that example so you can achieve better than theirs, like not to be selfish or anything. But yeah, I would say 5. And 5 is also a lucky number of mine.
And you said you were speaking on behalf of women from third world countries. And that's a term we hear quite frequently in our vocabulary. Can you please share with us what your understanding of the term third world countries is?
It would be countries that are, people living there don't have as much access to what we have, like food, water, shelter. Like if you go to India, you'll see girls and guys like on the street asking for money and having to work out in the hot weather, which whereas in Canada, girls and guys are at school, being educated, or coming back to their families and being able to enjoy their life as a young child. Where in third world countries such as India, Pakistan, Ghana, or Sri Lanka, it's different. So it's more of the basic necessities that we should have, which is different between first world countries and third world countries.
Thank you very much.
That was a phenomenal speech. Thank you, Navina. I especially liked the part when your speech gave a lot of feeling and emotion. Now let's welcome our second participant, Jada.
Good afternoon, honorable judges, staff, and students. My name is Jada Gordon, and I'll be doing my speech on beauty. The world is chasing beauty, and with so many definitions of the word, I wonder, do we even know what we're looking for? Do we actually know what it means to be truly beautiful? We live in a society obsessed with physical perfection. We live in a place with such unrealistic beauty standards that 9 out of 10 women are unsatisfied with their appearance, and over half go to extreme measures to change the way they look. But the real question is why? Why do we feel the need to conform to a certain image? Why has our appearance become so important? I believe it's because everywhere we look, there are the same type of people plastered on billboards, TV commercials, runways, and magazines. Tall, white, thin, long-haired women, because that's media's definition of beautiful. But realistically, young women and girls are going to look at these advertisements and realize they don't fit into society's ideal image of beauty and soon alter themselves. Because if they don't, they're not considered beautiful. And that's what every woman wants to feel they are, is beautiful. I believe that society's definition of beauty is corrupted due to the false perceptions and characteristics of the perfect woman that is being set out into the world. For example, no matter how old you are, if you need to find the definition of a word, you look into the dictionary, right? Well, according to the dictionary, beauty is a combination of qualities such as shape, color, and form that pleases the aesthetic senses, which is basically saying that beauty is physical features that please the eyes, which I think is so wrong, because everyone has their own meaning of the word. How can you stand up here and tell someone you physically do not meet these standards, so you're automatically considered unbeautiful? This is where the saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, comes into play. Because if we have our own perceptions and opinions of the word, how can you make up one definition and say that's the true meaning? Because honestly, you can't define or compare someone's true beauty, because we're all beautiful in our own ways. Beauty is a very controversial subject, and most people's opinions fall into 3 categories: interior beauty, exterior beauty, or both. If someone says they find the interior of a person beautiful, they find beauty within them, their personality, their thoughts, their mind, their heart, the things that truly matter in a person, not just a pretty face. If someone says they find the exterior of a person beautiful, they judge their beauty on their appearance, their smile, their eyes, their hair, their physique. But me, I believe beauty is so much more than a pretty face, because there's a fine line between being pretty and being beautiful. To be pretty is to be physically attractive, but to be beautiful is so much more. To me, being beautiful is being intelligent, genuinely caring about other people, having a lovely soul, and to be a selfless person. I don't only find beauty within a person, but I also find beauty in how a person can make you feel. If they can always make you smile when you're down, make you feel special, encourage you, and accept you, love you, flaws and all, now that is truly beautiful. To have a lovely face is lovely, but to first have the foundation of a lovely heart is my definition of beauty. Jessica Hoffman.
Thank you, speaker number 2. After you chose this very interesting topic, please tell us what the following steps you took that led to you being here today.
Do you mean creating my speech or about the topic?
Once you already have your topic in place.
Yes.
So to get through your speech, creating it, presenting it the first time, etc.
I had to create both sides of both people's perspectives and put it into one so that everyone would relate to what I'm talking about and they'd understand, so I wouldn't just be up here talking about something that no one's going to care about. So I had to write it passionately, and then I had to perform it with confidence so people know that it's an empowering subject and they could learn so much from it.
Thank you. And at the beginning, you talked about 9 out of 10 women not being satisfied with the way they look. So as schools, what can we do to help lower that number, and at what age should we start?
I think we should start from really young, because now society is altering the minds of younger children at such a young age. I think we should start around grade 4, because that's when we start developing more physical features and feel more self-conscious about ourselves. And we can have groups so they can talk to students and teach them that everyone is beautiful in their own ways, and they should accept themselves for who they are, and they shouldn't want to be anyone else because they're made themselves, and that's the most important thing.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Well done, Jada. That was an amazing speech on beauty because it explains a lot I don't know about beauty. Now let's welcome our third participant, Karen.
What is the world's hardest game? Is it chess? Is it soccer? Or is it Flappy Bird? Flappy Bird? It's life. Life is an arcade game and it only has one token. It has many obstacles that you must pass, but it's not easy to do alone. You need support. Yes, you do have relatives, siblings, and people in your house named Mom and Dad. But there is one person that may not be related to you, but he or she is your greatest support. Good afternoon, judges, contestants, honored guests, and students. I am going to be talking to you about friends. So, do you now know the answer to my question I asked you earlier? It's a true friend. What is a friend? A friend is someone that has the same soul as you. A friend is someone that knows your feelings and helps you whenever in need. They will guide you when you make mistakes and praise you for your success. There's a quote, there is always light at the end of every tunnel, but you need a friend to cross the dark tunnel to reach the light. I would rather walk with a friend in the dark than alone in the light. There are two types of friends, good and bad. Very simple, but there are different types of good friends and bad friends. It's easy to classify friends. Anyone can do it, but choosing the right friend is in your hands. If you want a good friend, you have to be a good friend. So let's get back to the classification of friends. Whoa, calm down, don't sleep yet. This is not last year's science class of classification of animals. This is the classification of friends, so no need for the pillow. You might be wondering who and what are bad friends. Bad friends are worse than obstacles in the game of life. They are viruses. One virus, the game is hard. Many viruses, game over. Bad friends can be classified into 3 groups, and they are traitors, bad influence, and last, users. Traitors are friends that act as friends and then put you in a bad name, having a bad reputation. Friends that are bad influence could teach you bad habits. Let me ask you a question. If your friend said you to try a cigarette, would you do it? Right now, you might say, no, but if you were in the position, the pressure would kill you. You might just try one puff. After that one puff turns to be your biggest mistake. A small leak can sink a huge ship. Now last, the worst of all friends, users. And trust me, you don't want friends like these. Users are friends that use you so they can get better in life. After they have got what they wanted, they will lead you and leave you in the dark path of life. Many people want to ride with you in the limo, but what you want is someone who will take the bus with you when the limo breaks down. So we should avoid bad friends at all costs. There are 2 types of good friends, and they are guiders and birds with the same feathers. Friends that are guiders advise you and warn you if you go on the wrong path in life. Now when I said birds with the same feathers, most people went like, huh? Most of you were confused. Birds with the same feathers are not friends that are birds. Chirp, chirp. They're friends that always agree on what you do and take part in it. Now you know the different good friends and bad friends, so choose your friends wisely. After you have got your good friend, it is not the end. It is just the beginning for a great friendship in the game of life. It doesn't matter how many friends you have. It matters what friend you are and what friend you have.
Thank you, speaker number 3. Now, the first time you gave your speech was in front of your class. Could you please tell us how that was different from today and what you did differently today than you did then?
My classroom, I know the people. I'm familiar with the faces. But this crowd, I have no clue. I might have just met them in the bus stop or something. But I don't know this crowd. I must have been nervous, and that must have made me slack off a little. But I was intended to put my message and engage my audience because I didn't know who these people were. So that's what I did differently today.
Thank you. Now, you talked about friends being users or bad influences. When you discovered that that has happened to you, that someone you thought is a special friend is a user or a bad influence, what can you do to get out of that relationship?
So you first slowly tell advice and ask your mom or other people that are role models to you, like your principal, teachers. And then when you ask advice, they will tell you the advice. And you can listen to that, or you can just try to avoid them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. That was an extraordinary presentation on Friends because it was very entertaining and can teach me a good lesson. Let's welcome our 4th participant, Pauline.
sweaty palms, heart pounding. No, I'm not talking about that quiz you forgot to study for. I'm talking about when your crush passes by and you stand there thinking, oh my guava. But I'm not here to talk about crushes, ladies and gents. I'm here to talk about relationships. It is said that this day and age, kids from 12 to 13 years old usually get into their very first relationship. Relationships at our age are said to only last between 3 to 5 months. It is also said that it isn't until someone's early 20s that they get more serious in a long-term relationship. But of course, these are just statistics. In my personal opinion, it all depends on your maturity and what you want out of a relationship. Now, we all get to that one point in our life where all our friends are in relationships. And you just sit there thinking about how hot your pizza is. And guess what? You're fine with that. The single life, flirting, doing what you want without worrying about keeping a relationship alive. Did I mention the on-sale chocolates after Valentine's Day? This is all until your friends start shipping you with someone. Now, for all of you who don't know what the term shipping is, it's basically when your friends want two particular people to date. Imagine it. You're having a nice conversation with a gentleman friend when all of a sudden you hear someone in the background go, ew! Now in the hallways, people are constantly teasing and persuading you to have feelings for that person or start a relationship with them. How annoying is that? You're not looking for a relationship and your friends are just making it more and more awkward. Truthfully, I think we all know that one couple that acts like a light switch. 1 second they're madly in love, the next they hate each other's guts. Happily together, about to stab each other in the throats. And then there's that one couple where cheating must be their first virtue, and all they hear about is how he or she is with a player. All of this often results in way too much drama for our age, with the he said, she said, I saw, they saw ordeal. My advice, couples, get it together. There obviously wouldn't be this much drama if you're actually ready for a relationship. Relationships can either be a painstaking task or a fun experience. I'm not standing here today to tell you when or when not to date. I'm here to tell you to date when you're comfortable. Whether or not you start dating at 12 or 25. Because at the end of the day, a relationship should be like having another best friend, only closer.
Thank you, speaker number 4. Now you've done your speech in front of a large audience. Do you think this is going to help you later on in your school life? Can you please explain why or why not?
I think so because the more you speak in front of more people, the more confident and more comfortable you are to speak in front of different people you may or may not know. So it might make you become more outgoing and more comfortable in what you're doing and stuff like that.
Great, thank you. And now, if your best friend is in a relationship that you think is wrong for him or her, should you get involved? Why or why not?
Well, at the end of the day, it is still their decision to whether or not they want to be in that relationship. But I think I would get a little bit involved and at least give my opinion on what's happening. Because obviously, if they're not with a person that's not right for them, or they're like really mean or stuff like that, I should say something to them.
Thank you very much, speaker number 4.
That was a magnificent speech on relationships because it was fun, very funny and entertaining. Thank you, Pauline. Put your hands together for our next participant, Max.
Big crowd. Filler word. Good afternoon. My name is Max Lee. Speech nervousness strikes again. Just can't deny its presence in any. Know every one of your public speeches. It's always hiding in some sort of nook or cranny before or during your speech. Luckily for me, it is natural and is to be expected. Together, we will investigate this strange phenomenon while I learn the tricks of the trade myself. We shall look into how we get nervous of public speaking, why we get nervous, and how we can control our nervousness. Let's start off with some background. When I was researching this topic, I was blown away by the information already out there. I literally hit the mother lode. Wikipedia says that speech nervousness also goes by speech anxiety or glossophobia. The National Institute of Mental Health states that this shadow on our world affects 74% of the US population and is the world's top fear, followed by the fear of death and spiders. When we think about a situation too negatively, a part of our brain makes the pituitary gland create ACTH, or adrenocorticotropic hormones. Mr. 18 characters starts a chain reaction which triggers the symptoms of speech nervousness. 1. Our spine bends and contracts, disrupting posture. 2. Our digestive system shuts down, drying our throats. 3. Our eyes dilate, so that we become temporarily and virtually farsighted. 4. Our muscles prepare to defend against an attack. Yes, our bodies naturally try to fight a friendly audience. 5. We can start sweating a lot. 6. When we get a thicker accent when speaking to a crowd. And personally for me, my ears go red hot. If you can't notice them, I must be doing very well today. To deal with speech nervousness, we must tackle it at the roots. The reason we fear public speaking in the first place is because we fear being judged or messing up. Ever since the days of our ancestors, humanoids were capable of 3 reactions to fears or dangers. These reactions were called fight, flight, and freeze. For example, if a caveman encounters a scary shadow, he may run from the shadow, not move a single muscle, or he may attack the shadow. Similarly, public speakers have to decide between running off the stage, not speaking at all, or attacking, enduring through the speech. Studies show that different cultures, such as European, Indian, or Chinese, experience different levels of speech nervousness, which is influenced differently by their daily lives. According to studies by psychologist Philip G. Zambaro, people of places such as Japan have higher levels of shyness when meeting strangers than those of, for example, Israel, and shyness equals a harder impact by speech nervousness. Public speaking can come at a personal cost, but there are solutions. To present a speech about speech nervousness, I must not leave out how to deal with it, of course. There are in fact many ways to combat glossophobia. Many websites stated it's very smart to interact with your audience before presenting, to build a relationship, make them your allies and friends, and to reduce the fear of their judgment. Once you know the dude in the back with the camera isn't a corporate spy documenting you, that'd be much more relieving, yes?
Yeah.
A good thing to keep in mind is to find a topic and make a speech that you're very comfortable with performing. A good topic is one that your audience will be interested to hear and relate to. Many exercises can replace stress chemicals with happiness chemicals. Several medicines, such as beta blockers, can disrupt and mask the symptoms, but with the risk of dangerous side effects. Foods with vitamins B's and C's can repair cells, and potassium can lower the blood pressure of stress. Apparently, one of glossophobia's weaknesses is blueberries. Remember now, fellow glossophobics, thinking negatively will create a villain, ACTH, and make us nervous, jittery, and all that bad luck that follows. The 3 F's, fight, flight, and freeze, are the decisions we must face on stage, and there are many easier ways to fight our fears. Now let's try the intro of mine again. Good afternoon, my name is Max Lee. Thank you.
Thank you, speaker number 5. At the end of the speeches, you get asked these questions. Why do you think they are an important part of judging the speeches?
Sorry?
At the end of the speech, you get asked these questions. Why do you think these questions are an important component of the overall mark for speech arts?
I believe these questions are a thing to tap into the knowledge the speaker actually knows about the topic. Because speech is a speech, right? You can just write it, just copy it off of Wikipedia or something. But when they ask questions, make sure that you're actually knowledgeable about your topic.
Okay. Now, besides being nervous about public speaking, what other situations make you nervous, and how do you overcome that?
Be in a place of authority, like when someone's, when you're at a high place, you get nervous of the expectations, and it's very similar with speech nervousness. It's always about the expectations and trying to combat those, and then they bring your nervousness, of course.
Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was an extraordinary presentation because it was surprising at first and very educational along the way. Now let's welcome our next participant, Andrew.
What is the first image that comes to mind when you hear the word Islam? A man with a big beard, a turban maybe, C4 strapped to his chest, screaming angrily in Arabic? I'm not gonna lie. I imagine that too, but not for the reasons you would think. I'm a 13-year-old boy. My family prays 5 times a day, we eat halal food, and I personally thank God for allowing me to see another sunset. All of this and so much more distinguishes me from the rest of the world. I am a Muslim. Islam is a religion of peace. Then why is the common image of a terrorist a Muslim? The truth is, Muslim extremism is often the definition for terrorism. I know why this is wrong, but do you? I often ask myself why society pictures a terrorist to be Muslim, and I've only concluded with one answer: stereotypes. Maybe it's the media, or maybe it's the society we live in. But I know for a fact that all over the world, millions of people's opinions on Islam are based solely on stereotypes. Do you know what happened on April 19, 1995? Probably not. There was a bomb set off in Oklahoma City, killing 168 people and wounding 680 others. Do you want to guess who was blamed first? Ding, ding, ding. Yup, that's right. Muslims. But it was actually a 33-year-old man motivated by his hate for the government. And I get it. There has definitely been Muslim terrorists before. But I believe it is incredibly unfair to judge an entire nation based on the acts of a small group of people. And I'm not just talking about Islam here. There are hundreds of debilitating stereotypes out there. All Asians are great at math, but even better in kung fu. All African American people spend their time throwing basketballs around and stealing. All Hispanic people are illegal immigrants, and all of the Middle East hates America. If you believe in even one of these stereotypes, then the reason I'm standing here in front of you today is to inform you that you are wrong in every sense of the word. I believe this kind of mindset is given off and widely broadcasted through all sorts of media, whether it be social networking, gaming, news, or everyday interactions. I'm telling you this because I personally have been struggling with these misconceptions. Throughout my life, I've been discriminated against because of my race and religion. And I'm sure the greater population of Muslims around the world can relate to this too. I know I, as a single person, cannot stop this, but it is unbelievably frustrating to think that half of the world will not know the truth about my religion and will still remain blind to the lies of society as it is today. So please, if we could eliminate the stereotypes in this world, it would have a profound effect on every single one of our lives. So let's try to eliminate the stereotypes from spreading. Let's make a difference in the lives of others.
Islam, about the Muslim people, what advice would you give them?
Okay, that's a really interesting question because myself, I'm young, so I'm not that knowledgeable, right? But I know lots of people out there that want to get to know Islam, right? And what I would advise for them to do is stick to the books, because I believe judging a religion based on its people is wrong, you know? So maybe they should stick to the text about what the Prophet said, our God, and yeah, that's it.
Okay. And you said that media stereotypes form people's opinions about Muslims. What can we do in the schools to change that, to promote understanding of Muslim people?
Well, I'm sure in today's society, there are a lot of Muslim people. So maybe there could be an organization that could unify all of the Muslim students and have a program that could inform all the other students about what Islam is about and how to be more accepting and tolerant of the religion in Islam.
Thank you very much, Speaker Nancy.
Thank you, Mamoon, for your amazing speech on Muslims, because it explains a lot of hidden information about Muslims. Let's move on to our next participant minute.
Good afternoon, honorable judges, parents, teachers, and fellow students. My name is Menon, and I would like to present to you the idea of no homework. Yes, that's right, no homework. Why should we spend our afternoons doing work that would be much easier and quicker during class? Teachers spend hours writing out the homework they want us to finish, and when we hand it in, they spend even more hours grading it when they'd rather be doing something else. Don't lie, teachers. I've heard you complain about marking hundreds of papers about the same exact thing. Wouldn't you rather spend your evenings with your loved ones? Wouldn't you rather listen to your child about their day? But no. Instead, you have to mark other kids' work and most likely badly done homework. Homework puts unwanted stress on students. We panic for hours about whether or not we did do enough research. We worry about whether or not we did the homework the teacher wanted. We sit and hope that we got that good grade our parents are pushing for. We students are forced to spend our afternoons sitting in front of books and computers doing work that would be much easier and quicker during class. But when work is done in class, we are more motivated to finish it. The teacher can promise leaving early, the promise of the last 5 minutes being free time. But when we're at home, there are many distractions, such as television. TVs are in almost every teenager's room, providing quick relief from homework. What about the internet? It can be accessed from almost anywhere. There is nothing more distracting than the internet. Students have other commitments that don't include homework, just like the teachers. Some of them have after-school activities, such as doing something with their family, plans with their friends, and many of them do after-school sports, all of which are affected by homework. They get homework at school and realize that all their plans are gone. They can't go to that movie that they've been planning on going for days with their friends. They don't have time to rest and relax when they come home from basketball or football when they would have to finish their homework. Homework prevents socialization that is necessary for the proper development of kids and teenagers. And what example is being set for children? You go to school, you do your work, and when you come home, the work doesn't stop. We are allowing a balance that will help a student when they go out to the working field. Homework can also be blamed for the students staying inside all the time. When we get homework, we rush home to finish it. Finish so we have time to do something outside. But by the time we finish all our homework, the sun is gone and all that's to do is stay inside, eat, and watch TV, which ruins a child's life. Nelson Mandela once said, "After climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb." I think this quote is similar to this situation because no matter how much homework we do or how well it's done, there's always more homework the next day, the next week, the next month. It never ends. My point here is that students in all grades should never, ever receive homework ever again. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker number 7. It seems like you have a lot of support for your parents about homework. Do you think that being a good public speaker can help you later on as you move into the workforce? And tell us why or why not.
Yes, it would. Because who knows what we're going to become? A teacher, a politician? It doesn't know. We don't know what we're going to become. But when we do, it's involved in lots of public speaking. Because your job is like a major thing, and you may become someone that's important in public speaking, such as you may even become the Prime Minister of Canada. Who knows? So it all depends. When you start right now from public speaking, when you grow on more, you'll become more confident and less nervousness.
Thank you. And now you built a great argument for the negative aspects of homework. So why do you think homework ever began, and are there any positives for it?
There may be some, like for students that need help, and it's also for students to get a better knowledge for them when they have tests or quizzes. It's to better understand them, because when you go to school, you do your work, right? Homework, the periods may be 1 or 2, and if you're in high school, 3 or 4. But after that, when you come home, you may forget it or you may not. So homework, textbooks, they all relate to being at home, being at school, and it gives you a lot of information, lots of knowledge, and it just helps you.
Thank you very much, Speaker Chad.
That was a fabulous speech, man. I especially like the part where you backed up your information, persuading us why we shouldn't have homework. Now let's welcome our next participant, Sabrina.
It's only 9 p.m. I'm pretty sure I can finish this entire speech by tomorrow. I just have to think really hard. This is harder than I thought it would be. Maybe some tea and television will get me thinking. I'll be right back. Have you ever put off an important task or many important tasks ever so easily because it just can't be done at the moment? Did you ever choose a more enjoyable and comfortable thing to do over what you really needed to do? Well then, unfortunately, you've just found out that you are a procrastinator. Good afternoon, fellow staff and students. It's time for you to not only learn a bit about procrastination, but realize your habit, find out the negativities of it, and how to greatly overcome it. In my eyes, procrastination is an unbelievably huge issue where not only kids, but adults as well, waste a decent amount of time to get busy on something completely useless. Before freaking out that you're the biggest procrastinator or that your problem can't be fixed, just take a minute to realize it. Acknowledge the fact that procrastination has become a habit of yours. A plain and simple acknowledgement could be the start to your journey of overcoming it. If not taken into consideration, after a while, the habit will become consistent and only cause carelessness, which is anything but for the better. It's safe to say that there are many negative effects of procrastinating that could affect us life-threateningly. Most think that they could relieve stress by putting off work. Wait till you get more work thrown at you, as well as the work from before. Now that's when the real stress begins. As Christopher Parker said, procrastination is like a credit card. It's a lot of fun until you get the bill. Believe it or not, procrastination ruins our happiness. How, you ask? Making irresponsible choices and having undone jobs can have careers come crashing to bits, which will only add more stress to our minds. In fact, procrastination is another way that people take as an advantage to run away from their problems. Just because a task wasn't done that certain day there's a rare chance that it won't show up later on. I guess you've taken in by now that there are some heavy reasons to why procrastination should be overcome. Breaking the habit of procrastination is almost like quitting the habit of biting your nails. It's not too easy, but we can always drive ourselves to a solution. Before jumping to the final steps of stopping your procrastination, take it from the bottom and slowly make your way to the top. First, think of the things that you do for the heck of procrastinating. The smallest things that take you away from your work. Now those are first priority to be erased from your actions. You will then need to figure out how much time you're taking away from your work time by doing the unnecessary activities. Which will benefit you more, the undone tasks or the tasks you favor? Being a mature student or adult and knowing what's right, hopefully you find out which is an advantage for you. Another great strategy is to find someone else who procrastinates and find ways of prevention that would be good for the both of you. Chances are that many people surrounding you are procrastinators, so don't hesitate to ask anyone. Last but not least, make a schedule of your day plan. Planning ahead of time, more specifically a day before or 2 days before, depending on when your task shows up, is a great time to create your schedule. Remember, only add important tasks on it. Having just one unimportant task on it, could give you the slightest intention to pick that over all of the others. As funny as procrastination seems, it's not an easy thing to get away with. I'd just like to address the fact that preventing procrastination could be a huge advantage for your life. I, as an immense procrastinator, always having to take much more time than needed, would also like to get rid of my habit, but I'm struggling due to my immunity. Henceforth, don't take this as a joke, because the only person it'll affect tomorrow is you. Thank you.
That was a fabulous speech, Suvarna. I especially liked the part where you had many interesting facts and hand gestures. Let's welcome our next participant, Vishali, up to the front.
Waking up by a stinky, deadly morning fart is not the way I prefer to wake up. And using the washroom after him is so not pleasing, especially because he stinks it up once he's done using it. How can a girl like me survive with a guy who breaks my things and burps in my face constantly? Oh, and if you're wondering who that guy is, he's my little brother. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vishali Rajasegar, and I'll be talking about my life with a little brother. It was August 14th, 2003, when I was finally a big sister. I was so excited that I finally had a little brother who would have my back, or so I thought. Ever since that little thing started to walk, he started to take over my life. I was nice enough to let him step on my face, but now it's just getting annoying. Every time we play tea party together, I always, and I mean it, I always get a teapot thrown at my face. Is that really necessary? I guess that's just what big sisters deal with. My little brother and I had these little competitions on who's the best child. How I win is by bringing home good grades to impress my parents. That always gets their attention. But one thing that really bugs me is that my brother does nothing at all. Nothing. And he always gets my parents' attention. He's always the best child. But why? Maybe it's because of those cute, irresistible dimples. How is that fair to me? It's not my fault I wasn't born with any cute features. Curse those irresistible, cute dimples. Like all siblings, my brother and I always get into arguments. We argue over who gets the last Oreo cookie or who gets the TV remote. The sad truth is, my brother always wins. Always. He gets his ways by hurting me. And yes, everyone, my little brother is stronger than me. But sometimes, just sometimes, I do hurt my brother, either physically or emotionally. And thanks to my 10 years of living with him, I know exactly what to do to make it up to him. All you have to do is play Minecraft with them for a few hours, yes, hours, and then be a slave for the whole day. It's complicated, but that's just what big sisters do, I think. At school, my brother is such a good, well-behaved boy, I guess, but my friends always say that he's so cute and I should be lucky that I have a brother like him. No. My brother has a side that most of you don't know. My brother is violent. Very violent. Ever since he'd been taking Taekwondo, he'd been using me as his punching bag. Oh my gosh, you guys don't know how many times I face punched on the ground. A lot, and it really hurt. But it does help him for upcoming tournaments, and I'm glad that I could help. Or at least I think I'm glad. It may seem that I really hate my brother, but no, that's not true. The truth is, that little monkey is a really great brother. He is smart, athletic, and funny. He always finds a way to make me laugh whenever I'm feeling down. He was my first best friend, and he still is, and I don't know what I would do without him. I guess a life with a little brother is not so bad after all. Thank you.
Thanks, student number 9. Now, many people worry about being able to memorize their speech. What tip would you give someone to help them memorize their speech? Because you've done a great job memorizing yours.
Okay. So memorization is pretty hard, like especially because you're in front of all these new people, you're going to get nervous. It's pretty easy to forget your speech. But something that could help you is that maybe you could you don't want any distractions. So just maybe go in your room, look in front of a mirror, and practice your speech. Just see how you're doing. Like if you look in the mirror, it'll help you like see, oh, are you doing expressions well? Are you giving eye contact? It really helped me, so I'll request that.
Good, thank you. You told us a lot of things that your little brother does to you, but if he were here today, what would he say were the things that you do that frustrate him? I do hog, it takes me a long time to use the washroom. Not like that, I just, if we're going to a party, I need to look good. And so, my brother has a really small bladder, and he has to go to the washroom constantly. And he always bangs on the door, are you done yet? And I'm still putting on my mascara. I need to look pretty. But he's constantly nagging, so I think that's the only issue. I use the washroom a lot. So. But otherwise, you're a perfect sister, right?
I'm not.
Thank you, Michelle. That was an amazing speech because it was very entertaining, and I like the way you described your brother in both good and bad ways. Now let's welcome our final participant, Wasi.
Mahatma Gandhi once said, first, they ignore you. Then, they laugh at you. Then, they fight you. Then, you win. This refers to all aspects of humanity, especially in discrimination due to age, sex, race, sexual preference, etc. No matter what the discriminatory cause, the victim always wins because they are the ones that have learned to accept themselves for who they are, while others have learned to accept them over time. I am here to talk to you all about human rights. So, what are human rights? Is it the right to eat? The right to have an education? The right to speak? Well, the answer is yes. But more descriptively, human rights are privileges inherent to all human beings, whatever our nationality, place of residence, sex, color, religion, language, or any other status. We, as human beings, are entitled to our rights without discrimination. Human rights are separated into several categories. Civil and political include the rights to privacy, free speech, movement, political thought, and to vote. Economic and social include the rights to adequate food, water, healthcare, and education. Even to this day, in 2014, many people in many parts of the world still do not have these rights, despite the existence of national human rights institutions devoted to our protection. Even in first world nations like Canada, Russia, United States, there are major gaps in the human rights protection. Furthermore, I'd like to discuss about gay rights and women's rights. To give you some facts, over 40% of the United States gay population could be killed or imprisoned due to their sexual preference. Approximately 83 countries have anti-homosexuality laws, and on top of that, the international lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual community, or in short LGBT, have listed about 78 countries with criminal laws against sexual activity that are not of a man and a woman. To give you an example, 2 men were denied the right to love each other. On May 18, 1970, 2 University of Minnesota students, John Baker and James Michael McConnell, applied to Penn County's District Court Clerk, Gennard Nelson, for a marriage license. Gennard denied the application because the applicants were both men. John and James sued Nelson, claiming that the Minnesota law made no mention of gender. The trial court was not impressed with the argument. Agreeing with Nelson, the case was dismissed, with Michael and John never having the chance to be treated equally. But, on the positive note, Denmark became the first country in the world to legally recognize same-sex unions as of October 1989. This tells us that our right to be with whoever we want are being accepted, allowing the gay committee to eventually win, as Gandhi would say. However, the pace at which improvement is being made is very slow, and up to us and the future generations to accept those that are different from the norm and still realize they are human beings and they deserve the same treatment as the rest of us. In certain countries, women are treated as inferior beings. There are places where women are not allowed to drive, choose a significant other, work, speak, vote, or even run for political leadership. But at the same time, there are examples of women who have made a difference in this world, starting from Rosa Parks to Margaret Thatcher. We can clearly see that women are just as important, if not more, than the male population. The reason I say more is because they can bear children. For those of you who do not know, Rosa Parks was the first black woman to say no to a white man who asked her to sit at the back of the bus, leading to significant civil rights legislation. Margaret Thatcher defied a whole decade by becoming the first Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, getting rid of all stereotypes, typecasting, and discrimination will create the greatest revolution in human rights history. However, the only way to do so is to unite and stand together. We must accept others for who they are, not who they're not. Who's with me?
Thank you very much, speaker number 10. Now, you have waited to the end and listened to all of the speakers in front of you. In your opinion, does this give you an advantage or a disadvantage, and why?
It gives both a disadvantage and an advantage. Advantage because I can see how good they are, and I can use their techniques, and I can easily record them into my memory. But disadvantage is that all the pressure is not being relieved as it would be in the first place. So it goes both ways.
Okay. And what can students of your age do to ensure that human rights are respected and discrimination is reduced?
Can you repeat that question, please?
What can students of your age, your grade, do to ensure that human rights are respected and that discrimination is reduced?
My age students, they can do a lot of things. One of the ways are to form a group of few people in the beginning, which will become greater and greater as time goes by. That group will have one initiative to help those others in need. So there are also many other ways. So you can think of your own ideas, create something out of your creativity, or just go with something that has already been created and more powerful.
Thank you very much, Speaker.
All right, thank you for our MCs, Artika and Shirini. I will start. Now, I know the judge's job is really difficult because all the speakers were amazing. We have to remember that they all became or reached the level 1 or the winner at their school, and that's how they made it to this competition. So we want to make sure that they're recognized for their achievement. I'm going to be calling your names, and you're going to come and get a certificate. Navina. Jada. Colleen. Participants here, if you have a question about their speech, I know you don't know their names, but you can see their numbers. So you can say this question is for speaker number 2, and you can ask it. Just put your hand up, and I will take a name. Okay? Make sure that the questions are appropriate.
So Barna, how did your class help you memorize your speech, or help you with your speech?
My class didn't help memorize it, but they gave me feedback that was improvement.
Okay? You go ahead.
Number 1, what would you do if you were in the same position as a girl in third world countries?
I would stand up for my own rights. Even though people are banning me, like people are pushing me away, like, for example, men or fathers, right? I would still stand up for myself and join groups like Girls Time Canada. There's like mini groups in third world countries that help girls who are denied from their rights.
Speaker number 9, would you rather have a sister or a brother?
I'll stick with a brother. Yeah, because it's like you know how a boy thinks, it'll be easier in life. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. The judges are back, and I know we're all eager. Before we announce the winner, let's give a round of applause to all.
Thank you very much, speakers. You did a wonderful job and made our job very, very difficult. The range between all of you was so close that, quite honestly, we could have picked any one of the 10 of you. And that's not just something I'm saying. But we had to make a decision as judges, and we based it on the points, the way you answered the questions, your platform manner here, your enunciation, your projection, the research you did, how relevant it was to your audience, and things like that. And I'd like to congratulate the first place winner, speaker number 2. Congratulations to all of you again.